Minecraft's 1.20 Trails and Tales update has introduced some new pink blocks, meaning that the pink block palette has grown larger. The palette includes blocks such as cherry planks, stripped cherry logs, pink concrete, pink wool, and pink terracotta, to name a few. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really starting to love the pink block palette in this game. So in this video, I'm going to build a custom biome using pink blocks in my Hardcore Minecraft world. You are watching episode 4 of the Hardcore Minecraft series. Begin. Ultimately, we're going to end up here at the end of today's episode, and the surrounding area should look a lot more pink than it looks now. If we quickly go below ground, beneath my feet, exactly where we stand, we will come across an end portal. And the center of the end portal sits exactly where I placed the deep slate bricks on the surface. And that's because I have some future plans for the center of this custom biome that will all take place in another episode. We're back at base again so that we can break down some of the calculations behind the magnitude of the task in today's episode. So there are going to be 5 component blocks I'm going to use in the biome. Pink concrete powder, pink terracotta, pink wool, and cherry planks. I'm going to build the biome inside of a circle, and the circle will have a radius of 101 blocks, which when fed into the pi r squared formula, which if you didn't know gives you the area of a circle, that comes out to about 32,000 blocks, a little over. That's over 500 stacks of blocks, and that means we need roughly 4 shulkers full of each of the 5 building blocks that we're going to use in the biome. Whew, that is a lot of materials. But do not fear, dear viewers, do not fear, for Hocus has been working between episodes to get the material collection underway. Now this thing right here is a very, very small iron farm. And I've built the iron farm in the spawn chunk so that it's running continuously. And over time, slowly but surely, it is collecting up some iron for us to use. And before we do move on, I just want to credit this design. It is by Mine the Fab. Now, as I was about to say, this iron has a very specific purpose at the moment. And that purpose is back towards base being just here. Over the hill, I've built myself another farm. This thing right here is a design by JetMaymendo5136, and it's a wool farm, but more specifically, in our case, a pink wool farm. Now I've been spending quite a bit of time AFK in my little AFK box up there, and in that time, we have been able to amass quite the fortune of pink wool, with even more over here on the left side of the farm. Oh yeah, look at that. We have got absolutely plenty enough to fill 4 shulker boxes and even a little bit extra to keep in the inventory here. So what I'm going to do now is, since I don't have enough shulker boxes to keep all of the items in shulker boxes until they're required, I'm going to run them over to the area that our biome will be built in, store them in some chests, and then bring the empty shulker boxes back. And just get those last 2 stacks in. That's 2 full double chests and an extra 18 stacks. That should be more than enough. Now let's get out of here before those mobs start spawning. As for the cherry planks, I'm really not going to do anything special at all. So for now, it's just going to be a lot of this, a lot of this, and a lot of this. Alright, and that just about does it for the cherry planks. That's 4 shulker boxes worth. And now that we've harvested it all, we've got to take it over to the build site. Whoopsie daisy. I didn't catch it on camera, but I just popped my first totem whilst flying over to the build site. Honestly, these wings, man, you've got to be careful. It didn't even seem like I was traveling that fast when I landed, but it was enough. Oh boy, it was enough. And there we go. That should do it for cherry planks. We've got 1 double chest, 2 double chest, and then a little bit extra in the top there. So that's 2 of the 5 resources down. Let's get back to base. Better pick up another one of these guys just for safekeeping. And then we'll just be taking you. Thank you. We're also going to make a quick pit stop here at the gold farm to repair our tools and elytra. Our next destination is the desert, and you guys are going to be so proud of me. I've actually built myself a portal now, and this is where it takes us out, by the jungle, by the desert, and there should be a Badlands around here somewhere as well. There was a secondary reason we were over at the gold farm, and that was to get enough blocks for a beacon base so that we can make this trip to the desert a double whammy. With haste 2, yeah, I should be able to just insta-mine this stuff. So I've brought with me 8 shulker boxes, I need to fill 4 of them with sand and 4 of them with terracotta. Now that we have our 4 shulker boxes of terracotta and our 4 shulker boxes of sand, we need to start dyeing these blocks. So if we chuck 1 pink dye in the middle and then 8 stacks around the outside, that gives us 8 stacks of pink terracotta. And that's the last of the terracotta, so that gives us 1 double chest, 2 double chest, and a couple of extra stacks. With the terracotta done, we now need to make some concrete powder and concrete of the pink variety. So let's grab some gravel and then some sand. And if we combine it like this in the crafting table, we get ourselves pink concrete powder. Now I have just ran out of pink dye, but it's very, very simple to get more. You start by bone mealing the 2 high red flour. And once you've done that many times, you convert the rose bushes into red dye. You convert some bones into bone meal into white dye. And then finally, you combine the red dye with the white dye to get pink dye. So we've now hit a different kind of problem. Our gravel supplies are looking like this. A little bit more difficult to legislate for, but I do have a plan. Somewhere down here there has to be plenty of gravel, right? Oh, yep, I can see some already. And for those of you that are perhaps uninitiated or unaware, this is where I've been digging for ancient debris in past episodes. So there we have it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shulker boxes full of pink concrete powder. Now half of this is coming with me right now, and the last few stacks go in here to give us 1, 2, and a little bit double chest full of pink concrete powder. As for the other half of the concrete powder, we need to make that into concrete. So I threw together this little concrete miner contraption by Hermitcraft. So all you want to do is hold right click and left click at the same time. The concrete gets taken down into a chest beneath your feet. More concrete powder gets shot down from the dropper above your head. And as long as you have concrete powder on you, you'll just keep producing concrete until you run out. So if we have a look at the chest below, you can see the pink concrete is slowly but surely coming in. Sadly, my PC and mic audio was not properly recorded for the next few clips, so I'm going to narrate it here in the post. I eventually used the concrete machine long enough to fill 4 shulkers and took the materials to the build site. This meant that I had enough of all 5 of the materials required to build the custom biome. However, I also needed some honeycomb to craft candles, so I headed back to the honey farm in the end. By replacing the empty bottles in the farm with shears, the honey farm was now a honeycomb farm. I also found 4 more bee nests, so I added them to the farm to improve efficiency. Right away, the farm began to produce honeycomb. From the end, I headed back to the build site of our biome and constructed the circle that it will be built inside of. Within the larger circle is a smaller circle that will be kept free of custom biome textures. This circle will eventually be used for the future project mentioned earlier in the video. After the completion of the circles, I demonstrated the concept of the pink biome on a small piece of land, and then it was time to expand this idea across the entirety of the circle. That might not have seemed like much to you guys, because I hope that I've managed to condense that down into a nice little time lapse, but for me that was over 12 hours of work. So we truly do have that pink theme going on here now, with the mixture of the 5 textures that I decided to use, and when combined in a random mess like this, I do think it looks pretty awesome. Now you can see the remnants of some leaves there, and you might have noticed those eagle-eyed viewers that exist amongst you. At the start of the time lapse, I did plant a few trees, and now they're gone. Problem is, I just cannot seem to wrap my head around how I want to do the trees. I've tried them in a grid pattern, I've tried them random placement, but every time I do something, it just doesn't feel right. So I think I'm going to need to have a little bit of a think about that, and then we will maybe take care of it in a time lapse. So what that may mean is that this video is going to sort of end in another replay mod time-lapse, but I think that'll be okay and a good way to display it. Before we do that, however, there are a few things we can do together on camera. The first of which is to begin removing these black boundary blocks. And there it is in all its glory. No more black boundaries. There is one more small thing that I'd like to do, and that is just to organize this central area a little bit. As I've mentioned a couple of times, there will be a future build here. So what I want to do is just take the land down to a universal level so that it looks a bit neater and a bit tidier and ready for work once we get started on that project. And that will do it. Actually, you know what? I should probably bring those chests down as well. That doesn't look quite right. That's much better, much neater, and no more floating chests. So let's take one final look at the area, now that the circle's dug out and everything's been tidied up. Yep, still looks very cool. Okay then, so like I mentioned, the end of the video, which will be the planting of the trees, will be done in the form of another time-lapse. So I'll say my goodbyes. Thank you ever so much for watching this video today. If you did enjoy it, then please be sure to check out the playlist in the description if this is your first episode of the Hardcore series. I'd appreciate the likes and the comments and the subscriptions and all that good stuff, so if you feel like doing that, make sure you do that now before you click off. But other than that, take care guys. I hope to see you again in the future. Bye for now.